Hey everyone, so today we're going to be talking about an interesting phenomenon in swordsmanship and also in other martial arts, and that is that practitioners with some level of training will often consistently lose to certain beginners. So we'll be looking at why this happens and also how to train so it doesn't happen to you. There's a quote that the greatest swordsman in Spain does not fear the second best, but he fears the worst. And it runs along the same principle as what we're going for today, that often beginners beat trained practitioners in martial arts and in swordsmanship. And to understand why this happens, we need to break down beginners into three different categories. The first is the shy beginner. So they're very new to swordsmanship, they're very new to the martial art, so they do everything half-heartedly and they don't put a serious attempt into it because they're new, they're trying it out. And you're not going to lose to this kind of nervous beginner. It just won't happen. Now the second type of beginner is the trying beginner. So they diligently try their best to perform all of the techniques with good form, good edge alignment, and they put their all into it. You're also not going to lose to this kind of beginner, though they will have likely the greatest growth potential. The reason why is because they're new to it, you've been doing it for quite some time, so it's highly unlikely that they are going to be better at proper form than you are. Now the third type of beginner is the spaz. So they're crazy, they're reckless, they're unhinged, they're aggressive. This is the human embodiment of crazy with a sword. And this is what people lose to, because they don't understand what it means to fight safely. They'll throw cuts when they should be defending, they'll act in unpredictable manners, and they'll go for suicidal attacks. And based on their base athleticism, then they may be faster, they may be stronger, they may be quicker than a trained martial arts practitioner, and in those cases, they'll probably win. Now historically these people have existed. If you look at Musashi's early duels, he was the spaz and he won. It was an effective technique because he just rushed in with full aggression and he beat his opponents to death, and he would win these life or death duels. Now the other thing is that improper form is often faster than proper form, and what I mean by that is that creating a good kinetic chain that starts from your feet and goes all the way to the sword in your hands and focusing on good edge alignment takes time, because you deliver a more powerful blow in a more guarded way so that you have good technique. But a frantic flail is going to be faster than that. If you don't care about edge alignment, you don't care about your kinetic chain, and you just throw your arm with the sword in the way, then it is going to be faster. And the thing is that even a frantic flail can cause serious damage. For example, it could cut the external jugular, it could cut the flexor tendons of the wrist, it could cut many other places that could cause the duel to end. And so every frantic flail still needs to be taken seriously. Now in modern times, with no life-threatening injuries, then this type of behavior may actually be rewarded, and the suicidal approach may be the best approach. If you take, for example, sports taekwondo or kendo, then in these high-level competition scenarios, then defense is not in favor, because if you can just go faster and you can earn a point quicker than the opponent can strike, even if it's a double blow, you'll still win, you'll get the point. Now, how do we ensure that you don't lose to the spaz? Well, it's easy to say, well, just get good. And honestly, it's not wrong, but it's also not very practical, because, getting good is something that happens naturally over time. And it's not something that you can just intentionally say, oh, well, I'll get good and suddenly get good. So how I approach the spaz beginner is I have a training drill that I've found to be quite effective for my own training, and hopefully will be for your training as well. So in this training drill, then you're sparring with a sparring partner, and one of you is invulnerable. Any strikes landed on them, doesn't matter, doesn't count. Their single goal is to attack the other person as fast and as unpredictably as possible. And any attacks that land on them, they don't stop, they just keep going. Now the other person has to defend against all of these reckless, crazy attacks, and at the start then they just focus on defending. But as time goes on and they become a better practitioner, then their goal should be to defend and also land in those attacks in a safe way while still defending. And from my experience, and I found that this has been a good training drill for myself to learn to deal with these very aggressive opponents, especially these beginners who have quite a lot of athleticism and quite a lot of confidence in themselves, but don't have much training. And I think it's also a good way to break out of the training bubble where in a lot of martial arts, we expect our opponent to react in a logical, sensible way. And what I mean by that is that we expect them to protect themselves and then attack. But not everyone fights this way. And so I think that having this training drill teaches you to approach some of these other practitioners who don't train in this way and to overcome them as well. So I hope this has been interesting. If you're interested in learning how to beat the Spaz, then I hope you go and you try the drill and let me know if it's helpful for you. And with that, I'll see you next time.